Coca-Cola wasn't born as a soft drink. In fact, it started as a failed medicine in the late 1800s, but within just a few decades, it transformed into the world's most recognized brand, worth over $250 billion today. So how does a simple sugary drink achieve global domination while countless competitors disappear? And what lessons can you take from this story to grow your business, your brand, and your sales? This video is the very first episode in our brand new series, Business Legends, Case Studies that Shaped the World. Each week, we'll dive into the story of an iconic company and extract timeless lessons in branding, strategy, and growth that you can use in your own career or business. And today, we're starting with Coca-Cola. From its humble beginnings in a pharmacy, to its rise as a marketing powerhouse, to its role in world wars and global culture. This isn't just a history lesson, it's a business masterclass. By the end, you'll see how Coke used timeless strategies in branding, distribution, and positioning that you can apply today, whether you're an entrepreneur, a sales professional, or just someone curious about how big brands are built. Let's start at the beginning, with a man named Dr. John Pemberton, and a syrup that was supposed to cure headaches, not quench thirst. The Coca-Cola story begins in 1886 with Dr. John Pemberton, a pharmacist in Atlanta, Georgia. Pemberton was a wounded Civil War veteran who had become addicted to morphine, and he was constantly searching for new formulas and remedies. One of his creations was a medicinal tonic he called Pemberton's French wine coca. It was a mix of coca leaves, cola nuts, and alcohol, marketed as a cure for headaches, fatigue, and even impotence. But when Atlanta passed prohibition laws banning alcohol, Pemberton had to reinvent his formula. He removed the alcohol, kept the coca and cola ingredients, and created a sweet syrup that he sold at Jacob's Pharmacy, where it was mixed with carbonated water. The result? A refreshing new drink. On May 8, 1886, the first glass of Coca-Cola was sold for just 5 cents. But here's the twist. As a medicine, Coca-Cola was a failure. It never gained widespread acceptance as a cure, yet as a refreshing soft drink, it began to attract attention. Sometimes the product you create won't succeed in the way you expect, but reinvention can open up a bigger opportunity, and that opportunity needed someone who could give it an identity. Enter Frank Robinson, the man who would take Pemberton's simple syrup and turn it into a brand the world would never forget. Frank M. Robinson was Pemberton's bookkeeper. While Pemberton had the formula, Robinson had the vision for branding. He suggested the name Coca-Cola, combining the two key ingredients, coca leaves and cola nuts. He also designed the now famous script logo that still appears on cans and bottles today. Why is this important? Because from the very start, Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was a brand. The unique name, the memorable logo, and even the way it was advertised created an identity people could recognize and trust. In business, branding often makes the difference between being forgotten and being unforgettable. Coca-Cola's early branding shows the power of simplicity, a short, catchy name, a visual identity that feels timeless, and consistent use across every piece of advertising. By the time Pemberton passed away in 1888, Coca-Cola was still small, selling just a few glasses per day. But the foundation was there, a unique product, a recognizable name, and a brand that could scale. Lesson for entrepreneurs? Don't underestimate branding. Features and formulas can be copied, but a strong, consistent brand creates emotional connection, and that's what endures. Robinson gave Coca-Cola its name and face, but it would take a new leader to give it scale. That man was Asa Candler, and he saw Coke not just as a drink, but as a business waiting to explode. Candler understood something critical. Success wasn't just about the product, it was about getting it into people's hands again and again. He aggressively marketed Coca-Cola with one of the first widespread coupon campaigns. Customers could redeem vouchers for a free glass, which not only drove trial, but also built loyalty. He also pioneered the idea of branded merchandise. Calendars, trays, clocks, and signs with the Coca-Cola logo spread everywhere, embedding the brand into people's daily lives. Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was becoming part of American culture. But perhaps Candler's most important move was signing agreements with independent bottlers. This created a distribution network that allowed Coca-Cola to scale far beyond Atlanta. Instead of being limited to pharmacies with soda fountains, Coca-Cola could now be bottled and sold anywhere. Lesson? Great businesses don't just sell products. They build systems of distribution and brand presence. You can have the best product in the world, But without reach and consistency, it won't scale. Candler made Coca-Cola a national success, but what truly made it legendary wasn't found in soda fountains. It was forged on the battlefields of World War II. By the early 1900s, Coca-Cola had become a national phenomenon. But its true global breakthrough came during times of crisis. During World War II, Coca-Cola made a bold move. It promised to supply every American soldier with a Coke for just 5 cents, no matter where they were stationed. The company built bottling plants near military bases across Europe and the Pacific, ensuring troops always had access to a taste of home. The result? Coca-Cola wasn't just a soft drink, it became a symbol of American identity, freedom, and comfort. Soldiers introduced it to locals, and demand spread worldwide. By the time the war ended, Coca-Cola had cemented itself as a global brand. Coca-Cola also survived challenges like Prohibition, the Great Depression, and fierce competition with Pepsi. What kept it alive? Relentless marketing, emotional branding, and adaptability. From iconic ads like "Have a Coke and a Smile" to its association with Santa Claus, Coca-Cola mastered the art of linking an ordinary product to extraordinary emotions. Lesson: the strongest businesses aren't just resilient, they use crises as springboards for growth. Coca-Cola didn't just survive World War II, it used it to build a global empire. By the mid-20th century, Coca-Cola wasn't just a drink, it was a symbol of America. But no empire goes unchallenged, and Coke's fiercest rival was ready to fight: Pepsi. No story of Coca-Cola is complete without its greatest rival, Pepsi. The battle between these two soda giants shaped not just the beverage industry but the very culture of competition in modern business. It all began during the Great Depression. While Coca-Cola dominated the market, Pepsi saw an opportunity. Instead of competing on tradition, Pepsi doubled down on value, offering twice as much soda for the same price, launching a catchy jingle. "Pepsi Cola hits the spot, 12 full ounces, that's a lot." The jingle went viral for its time, and suddenly, Pepsi was chipping away at Coke's empire. The real drama unfolded decades later in the 1980s, the Cola Wars. Pepsi rebranded itself as the drink for a younger, cooler generation, and even enlisted pop icons like Michael Jackson, running the famous Pepsi Challenge. In blind taste tests, many preferred Pepsi's sweeter flavor. Coca-Cola felt real pressure. In response, Coke made a bold, risky move. In 1985 it launched New Coke, a reformulated version meant to outsweeten Pepsi. The gamble backfired. Customers revolted. The backlash forced Coca-Cola to return to the original formula as Coca-Cola Classic. The failed experiment only made people love the original even more, and sales surged. The Cola Wars left two unforgettable lessons. First, competition is a powerful teacher. Pepsi's bold moves forced Coca-Cola to innovate and defend its brand. Second, never abandon your core identity. Coke's real strength was the emotional connection people had with the brand. The Cola Wars proved that Coca-Cola could survive its toughest rival. But the 21st century brought an even bigger challenge: changing consumer tastes and the rise of health-conscious living. As health awareness soared, soda sales in the United States began to decline. Consumers turned to water, coffee, energy drinks, and healthier alternatives, and the era of big soda seemed to be fading. For a company built on sugary soft drinks, this was a wake-up call. But Coca-Cola didn't just watch the trend, it adapted. The company diversified its portfolio by acquiring and developing new brands, including Dasani Water, Powerade sports drinks, Minute Maid juice, and Costa Coffee, among others. Today, Coca-Cola's portfolio boasts over 200 beverage brands worldwide. This is proof that even the strongest businesses must evolve to survive. Coca-Cola's resilience is more than just product innovation. From an investor's perspective, the company is a cash flow powerhouse. Warren Buffett, through Berkshire Hathaway, has held Coca-Cola stock since 1988. Why? Because Coca-Cola isn't just a company that sells beverages, it's a cash flow machine. The strength of its brand, its global distribution network, and its pricing power make it a reliable long-term investment. Buffett himself has said, "If you gave me $100 billion and said take away Coca-Cola's worldwide leadership, I'd give it back to you and say it can't be done." That's the strength of a brand built over a century. The lesson is clear. Adaptation is survival. Even icons must diversify to stay relevant. A powerful brand doesn't just win customers, it wins investor confidence and builds lasting shareholder value. As the world changes, Coca-Cola continues to pour out not just beverages but lessons in business endurance and reinvention. From reinvention to rivalry to reinvestment, Coca-Cola's story is filled with lessons. And for today's entrepreneurs and professionals, here are the takeaways that matter most. Lesson 1. Branding is everything. From the script logo to the red color, Coca-Cola built recognition that competitors couldn't touch. Lesson 2. Marketing fuels growth. Coca-Cola wasn't the only soda on the market, but it was the loudest, the boldest, and the most consistent in its message. Lesson 3. Distribution creates dominance. Coca-Cola didn't just sell syrup, it built bottling plants and partnerships that ensured its product was everywhere. Distribution became a moat that competitors struggled to match. Lesson 4. Competition makes you sharper. Pepsi forced Coca-Cola to innovate, adapt, and reconnect with its customers. Sometimes your biggest rival is your greatest teacher. Lesson 5. Adaptation is survival. As consumers moved toward healthier lifestyles, Coca-Cola didn't just cling to soda, it diversified into water, coffee, sports drinks, and more. Proof that even the strongest brands must evolve. Lesson 6. Strong brands create long-term value. Coca-Cola isn't just a product, it's an investment. Warren Buffett's loyalty to the company shows how powerful a brand can be, not just for customers but for shareholders too. From a failed medicinal syrup in Atlanta to a $250 billion empire, Coca-Cola's journey shows us the power of reinvention, branding, marketing, and distribution. It teaches us that success doesn't come from having the most unique product, it comes from building the strongest brand and making it available everywhere. So, the next time you sip a Coke, remember, you're not just drinking a soda. You're tasting over a century of strategy, marketing brilliance, and business resilience. And this was just the beginning, because this video is episode 1 of our new series, Business Legends, Case Studies that Shaped the World. Every week, we'll take a deep dive into another legendary company, uncover their strategies, and show you the lessons you can apply today. Next week, we'll be covering Ford and the assembly line, how scaling production changed business forever. Stay tuned. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications.